veci e odio, lasciarlo seminare l'amore.
Where there is hatred, let me sow love.
Dove ci è ferita, perdono, dove ci è dubbio, fede, ci è disperazione, sperare, dove ci è nerezza, innarsi, dove ci è la tristezza, Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console,
To be understood as to understand.
loved as to love, for it is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, it is in dying that we are born again.
It is in dying that we are born again.
It is in dying that we are born again to eternal life, Signore.
Sir Gerald, pwedeng mag-test ng sharing muna. Share slide.
Sige po. Wait lang po.
Share ko lang saglit, sir, para matik mamaya.
Excited.
Hindi kasi naka-minimize siya eh.
Enable na po. Pwede na po kayo mag-share.
Thank you po, Sir Gerald. Okay na po.
Ako naman, wait lang.
Okay lang po yan. Sige, diretso na lang po kasi hindi ka na po i-close na yung ano.
Kita niyo? Hindi ko kayo nakikita.
Add title, nakalagay.
Bagal pa naman ang computer. Wala ka. Sige, magbagal ka. Kita, Sir
Yes po. Kita naman.
Kita. Pero hindi ko kayo nakikita. Ano ba yun? Pwede ba yun sa settings?
Sir Gerald,
Po.
nag-send ako dun sa faculty development. May pumasok kaya doon?
Gagawin ko po kayong co-host para makita mo yung papasok.
Nag-send ako dun sa ibang chapters namin. Baka
Ayun,
pumasok sila.
Makikita nyo po yung mga papasok. Na ano ko na po kayo. Co-host.
At taga-atin pa yan eh.
Tama.
None. Sinong wala? Sir Dian saka si si Sir Paul. May taga-ibang chapter nga. Gerald, may taga-ibang MCA. Oh.
Oo nga po, meron na. Siguro dapat pa-rename na lang yung kanilang pangalan para
Okay lang naman. Ma'am Lovely, Sir Kevin, baka may iba kaming taga
San Buenaventura, si Sir Dian ba to?
Oo, parang siya. Oo. Sir Dian, ikaw ba yan? Yung San Buenaventura?
Admit ko na.
Oo, sir, sa akin.
Ah.
Sir Dian, wala pa po yung PPT. PowerPoint, kayo na lang mag-share.
Sir, nagsend ako.
Ano po yun Word?
Word.
Word po yun, Word file.
O, Word ba yun?
Opo, Word file po. Sir. Script niyo po ata to.
Paano mag-change ng ano?
Profile po.
Rename.
Saan?
Sa tatlong guhit.
How are we doing? Good evening, everyone.
Good evening po, Doc.
Speakers are here, no?
Sir Paul na lang po.
Sir Paul, tawagan na lang ninyo.
Sir Kevin, ano pong gagamitin yung account?
Siya ang MC, di ba?
Opo.
Mute ko na po isa.
Apa, yung may camera.
Ay, hindi ko ma-mute. Bakit yan?
Sir Paul na lang sa atin, ano.
Mel, wala pa rin si Paul.
Patakbo na daw po siya, Doc Bardy. Mag-a-admit na po ba tayo ng participants?
Pwede na siguro. It's already 6 eh.
Sige po. Yung mga video mo na lang, Gerald Music. Admit na po ako.
Sige.
Good luck.
Hello? Hello, hello.
Rinig po kayo.
Am I audible ba?
We can hear you, Sir Paul.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. May I just inform everyone that we are about to start in 2 minutes. Thank you. A blessed evening to our respective leaders and fellow educators. We are indeed so much privileged to be part of this momentous event, as we all know that tonight falls for a great opportunity, not just to be inspired, but certainly to become an inspiration as an equipped leader in the field of education. As we all know, we have been through several trying times which tested our capacities and limitations, yet we stood still by God's grace, continually pursuing what we have started for the benefit of our students, faculty, institutions, and society. And so, we welcome you tonight in our EDOC 373 course webinar entitled Innovations in Teachers' Classroom Administration Amidst the Pandemic. Gear up, get equipped, be enlightened, and enjoy the rest of the meaningful evening. Before anything else, let us entrust to the Lord this program. Let our hearts be opened as we sing the goodness of God, as we sincerely come before His presence. The opening prayer shall be led to us by one of our university's IE doctoral students, Mr. Ryan B. Garcia.
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. All
my days, I've been held in your hand. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. 'Cause all my life you have been faithful, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You will led me through the fire, and in darkest night, you were close like no other. I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. Yeah. And all my life you have been faithful. Oh, and all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, oh, I will sing of the goodness of God. Yeah. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I'm surrendered now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running, it keeps running after me.
Let us feel the presence of our Lord. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we humbly come before your presence with our hearts in awe of your greatness, mercy, and love. Dear God, thank you for all the blessings you have bestowed upon us. We are truly grateful for them. Thank you for allowing us today to meet and share our knowledge and time with one another in this webinar. May you extend your divine wisdom to our speakers so that they would be able to impart effectively their God given knowledge to all of us. Bless them as they continue to bring their expertise to every individual who need them. Bless the participants as well so that they would be able to glean the vital information from this activity. May you bestow your blessings after this webinar so that we may go out and spread what we have learned in the spirit of your love and generosity. May we realize that this activity should glorify your name. We ask this prayer through the mighty name of our Lord Jesus Christ. Amen. Thank you, Lord.
May we encourage everyone to pay respect to our Philippine flag while singing our national anthem. These will be presented through audiovisual presentation.
Ang awit ng Pilipinas.
Kayang mag-ibig, telas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa titik mo'y buhay. Lupang hinihinang, tuyang
At this moment, before we proceed further, let me read first the course webinar guidelines. First, look for a place where you can have a stable internet connection. Second, turn off your microphone while someone is speaking on the screen or sharing his or her presentation. Third, avoid doing unnecessary movements, which may cause disturbances while the course webinar is ongoing. Fourth, for your questions, kindly type it in the chat box. The moderator will be the one to ask each question to our resource speakers. Fifth, in respect to the given time, only 3 questions will be raised to our speaker. May I just remind everyone that this course webinar is recorded for references purposes of the organizer. Thank you and God bless. And to welcome us in this incredible special event, may we call in our beloved professorial lecturer, Dr. Barbara Wong Fernandez. A warm of virtual applause, please.
Good evening to all our webinar participants, our fellow educators, our resource speakers, and our friends. So welcome to this course webinar on Education 373 with the theme Innovations in Teachers' Classroom Administration Amidst the Pandemic. Let me start off by showing you what a person who enrolls in the doctor program goes through. No? So actually, when a person enrolls in the doctoral program with the aim of obtaining a doctorate, actually, by that time, he shall have taken maybe 2 to 4 years of preschool, 10 to 12 years of basic education, 4 to 5 years of college education, maybe another 2 to 4 years in the master's program. So that's a total of about 18 to 25 years of schooling already by that time. 25 years of learning from teachers, plus maybe several years of experience as a teacher, as an office worker, as a business person, or as a family person. So actually enrolling in the doctoral program is a topping to all of these years of learning in the class and learning from life. So the doctoral program is no longer just learning inside the classroom, no? Because by that time, a student shall have so much experience of his own already. So actually, the doctoral program is a discussion forum, a sharing of information, insights, readings, research findings, and experiences. This course, Education 373, or Seminar in Administrative Thoughts Applied in Education, is one of the terminal courses in the EDD Educational Management Program of the Far Eastern University, Manila, Institute of Education, graduate programs, and transnational education. So this evening's webinar will feature 3 of our doctoral students in this course who will be sharing with you their knowledge, their experience, and their research on this particular topic. They will be introduced in a while, and they will be ably supported technically and practically by their other co-doctoral students whom you'll also meet during this program, or some of them you have already met during this program. So I'm very proud to have this activity to be starred in by the doctoral students of this particular course, Education 373. So welcome everyone, and we look forward to a very interesting discussion this evening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fernandez, Dr. Barbie Fernandez. We all know that from the very start of our class this semester, you really keep your support to us, 100% support for the success of this seminar course webinar. So thank you so much, po, Doc. So as we proceed, we hope that as we go along with the program, everyone right now is getting more excited. This is a very timely opportunity indeed, as we know how this pandemic season is currently honing us in becoming a well-tested leader in the field of education. As we continually face the challenges of the new normal in our education system, all the more we need to be educated in improving our leadership skills to keep moving forward. So without any further ado, may I call on Mrs. Melanie Bactasa, Guidance Counselor from Polytechnic University of the Philippines, Manila, doctoral student of Far Eastern University, Manila, to introduce to us our keynote speakers for tonight. Please give her a big hand of applause.
Thank you, Sir Paul. To our beloved, supportive, and humble Professor Dr. Barbara Wong Fernandez, fellow academicians and participants, have a great evening to all of us. It is my pleasure to introduce to you our three amazing resource speakers for tonight's event, who will share their knowledge, their insights, and experiential learnings from their assigned topic. So our first resource speaker finished her Bachelor in Secondary Education at Cagayan State University. She received her master's degree in English Studies and Instruction at Roosevelt College FEU Group of Schools and currently pursuing her doctoral degree major in Educational Administration at Far Eastern University, Manila. She is a teacher 3 at Teofila Rovero Memorial Elementary School, City Schools Division Office of Antipolo. Her areas of interest and research includes management, dropout reduction, teachers' professional development, and innovations. She is one of the writers of the Learners Activity Sheet in DepEd Antipolo. Tonight, to enlighten us the innovations in teachers' classroom administration amidst the pandemic, focusing on elementary level perspective, friends, join me to welcome our first resource speaker, Ms. Lovely C. Torres.
Thank you so much, Sir Paul and Ma'am Mel, for the introduction. Allow me to share my slide for a while. Is my slide visible now, Sir Paul?
Yes, Miss Lovely.
Okay, thank you. So before anything else, I would like to extend my gratitude to Dr. Barbie for making this webinar possible in our class. To all the participants who are in this room tonight, good evening. So I'll be sharing my experience in this new normal, considering innovations that I used in my classroom administration in basic elementary education. So we are in the new norm. And according to John Dewey, if we teach today's students as we taught yesterday's, we rob them of tomorrow. And also, it says here that teachers will not be replaced by technology, but teachers who don't use technology will be replaced by those who do. That means that as teachers, we need to collaborate and improvise in order for us to prevail. And this situation in the pandemic that we are in, we should be more innovative, and it's an opportunity to embrace change in our classrooms. So remembering first our fourth sustainable development goal, which is to ensure inclusive and equitable education and promote lifelong learning opportunity. So this pandemic cannot stop education, but rather quality education as a response to attain another SDG, which is good health and well-being. And in this case, as teachers, we need to thrive. So we need to thrive wherein we need to practice. So I can suggest that we can practice the concept of resilience. So this concept of resilience wherein we need to be flexible, we need to adapt and to continue learning in order for us to deliver quality teaching learning process on the learning modality our school implements. So we are not alone in this pandemic. Actually, DepEd are having their ways in addressing challenges of distance learning. So we are together in facing the challenges brought by the pandemic with our educational leaders in the department. They continually make ways to address the needs of its stakeholders and give necessary technical assistance. So some technical assistance they intend for us. First is we have here the Department of Education launched the DepEd Teaches. It is an online program featuring episodes that focus on online program initiatives in overcoming the challenges in providing education in the new normal. So this program aims to address confusion and doubts on curriculum, instruction, and assessment initiatives of the department. So as we can see in our slide, we have three major challenges to overcome. First, we have to overcome challenges in curriculum. Next, challenge in learning delivery modalities, and then challenges in learning resources. So with these challenges, the Department of Education, we have several policies to implement to support this different learning modalities. So first, memorandum and policy, we have this memorandum OUCI-2020-307, and this memorandum released on October 30, 2020, Undersecretary for Curriculum and Instruction Diosdado San Antonio outlined 10 highly recommended measures to fill the units to ensure flexibility in teaching and learning. The policy was also in response to the request of teacher and student groups to ease the components of distance learning implementation. So the measures suggested, we are expected to enable the learners and learning facilitators to navigate through the challenges of the new normal in the teaching and learning process. And we should make necessary adjustments through the school year. So several adjustments were made by the start of this school year. So these adjustments like for the succeeding quarters, learning tasks in the SLMs or modules may be streamlined to ensure that activities sufficiently develop learning competencies leading to mastery. So this is one of the adjustments. So these adjustments were made for the learners, which is anchored on the fact that the learners have long been disengaged from academic learning since the onset of the pandemic last March 2020. But then this memorandum have a highlight that it says that the convenience of time and space is a big promise made by distance learning. Learners do not have to be physically with the teacher in the classroom, and depending on the methods used, they do not have to be together in time as well. So this is a great advantage for non-traditional students who cannot attend at regular times. So short background, so I teach in a public school in Antipolo City, And we had major changes in the delivery of learning, and our school caters ODL, or what we call as the online distance learning class. And I'm so lucky to be chosen as one of the online teachers. So first, we did is we get the survey on the onset of this school year. Having considered the preferences of our parents via survey on their child's learning modality and the challenges that can be encountered, online distance learning is one of the modalities that satisfies the learner's accessibility. So this learning modality is used as a response to the new normal as reflected in our school learning continuity plan. So nationwide, we are now practicing e-learning, and one of them is online distance learning to add normalcy to education. And it says here that this pandemic has brought a halt in the traditional teaching methods and also direct us to look for another option that can help with ongoing education even one approach may fail, because we cannot meet in our physical classroom, but yet through this e-learning, and we applied online distance learning in our own school with the use of our school learning continuity plan. This e-learning comes with much scope and is to make education be carried out with convenience. So this is the process flow for online distance learning, the innovation that we use to continue our education. So just like in high school and in college, since I'm tackling and I'm teaching grade 5 students, and based on the survey, they can have the necessity for this online distance learning. So we adopt this modality wherein they can have their synchronous via Google Meet, followed by a synchronous meeting via Google Classroom. And then we have monitoring and feedback. So by the way, before I'll continue, I belong to Division Office of Antipolo, wherein in our division, not like the other divisions, our school division is adopts the subject splitting approach. When we say splitting approach, we have 4 subjects in a month for grades 1 to 10. The subject splitting approach has been conceptualized to mitigate cognitive overload among learners, and it aims to offer engaging and effective experiences by minimizing efforts and maximizing results in the delivery of learning. So the learning delivery of the different areas were limited to 4 subjects per month. So there is no overload anymore in the part of our learners since we are in a pandemic. So in our synchronous meeting with my ODL class, they have their screen time or synchronous meeting, a maximum of 120 minutes in the morning from Monday to Thursday, and followed by asynchronous activities in the afternoon, and formative tests are given daily and summative tests every Friday. And lastly, the monitoring of learners and the feedback for consultation happens via group chat and Google Meet. In times that our learners cannot cope with the lesson, teachers will provide remediation activities. And if the expectations were not met by the learner, again, the teacher will provide another set of parallel worksheets followed by a home visitation. And then for those past learners, in another case, if the learners cope well with the lesson, then the teacher will provide enrichment activities. Okay, so that's it. So in my online classroom, these are some methods that I practice in my online class. First is keep parents engaged. Why? Why do we need to keep these parents engaged? It says here that parents' guidance is a key component in the progress of learners. So since in elementary, learners are not yet independent and we are in a situation that we cannot directly see their progress, through parents' cooperation and willingness to monitor their child's learning development, we are assured that that quality learning still happens. We can picture that every learner has a tutor at home, and it is necessary to communicate to the parents and involve them in the process of teaching. So what I did is we have a separate group chat for parents and then a separate group chat for learners. When the learners are not submitting his or her outputs in the Google Classroom, it's easy for me to contact their parents in their group chat. So for me, it's a good thing to keep our parents engaged. Next is creative teaching. Creative teaching include visual exercises that will excite young minds and capture their interests. So since we are not in a physical classroom, we need to be creative. We need to be creative in a sense that for us to sustain the attention of the young minds, for we know that they are easily distracted and most likely inside their house, they may be doing another thing, especially when they started to close their camera. So bring aspect of creativity into all your subjects, be in mathematics, in science, or history. So we can think of ways to develop their creative ideas and encourage different ideas. We can give them freedom to explore and participative even in the online class. And then third, I also use the audio and video tools. So I incorporate audiovisual materials to supplement textbook during the class. So this can be, these audiovisual tools can be in the form of film strips, movies, pictures, infographics, or other mind mapping and brain mapping tools. Such tools will help their imagination thrive and grow. So this method will not only develop their ability to listen, but also help them understand the concepts better. And in addition, you can make an advanced record of the topic to be discussed, and learners can play it at their own convenience, and learners who are absent in the online class can cope with the lesson for the day. So we have many remedies for this school year to save those students who are going to be to drop or to stop. So that's it. Fourth method is real-world learning. So it says here that when we infuse real-world experiences into our instruction, it will make teaching moments fresh and rich learning. So we can relate or demonstrate real-life situations, and it will easy for them to understand, and then learners will be learn better. It will spark their interest and get the children excited and involved. So isn't it that if children know the topic and it is in their context, they are active and they can easily grasp the lesson, even it is in the online distance learning. And then fifth, I also use storyboard teaching, wherein visually stimulating activity will ensure that even complex ideas are easily put across to learners. So in an online class, I observed that learners tend to be visual learners. If history were taught in the form of stories, it would never be forgotten. So this storyboard is a great way to teach any subject which requires step-by-step visualization of conceptual ideas. And you can also encourage the use of storyboards as part or form of communication, and let the students tell a story in pictures using their imagination. And then lastly, on our part as teachers in the new normal, we should always welcome new ideas. Always evaluate our teaching and ensure to try out new ideas in the classroom, because we need this open mind attitude that can help us to innovate new teaching methods. Though you might claim to be open-minded, it's human nature to resist change. So that's it. The 6 new methods I practice in this new normal. And also, I have here top 3 ways teachers can create innovative learning. So first is mindset in our part. So teachers set the tone of the class. If educators are excited about their subject matter, learners will tend to follow. So we need a change in mindset, also in mood, and overall classroom vibe begins with us, teachers, online teachers. As educators, we must have passion for the subjects we are teaching, because most teachers were trained to educate solely from the teacher's point of view. So it's necessary to change this type of delivery and make the classroom more innovative. We need to think about learners as leaders also. So acting as guides rather than teaching content and asking students to spill out information. So that is change in mind. Next, also, we need this self-reflection for us to create an innovative learning. It says here that self-reflection in the classroom is a way for educators to look back on their teaching strategies to discover how and why they were teaching in a certain way and how learners responded. So with a profession as challenging as teaching, self-reflection can offer teachers a critical opportunity to see what worked and what failed in the classroom. So as educators, we need reflective teaching as a way to analyze and evaluate our own teaching practices so that we can focus on what works. And then it says that effective teachers acknowledge the fact that teaching strategies and delivery is finding success can always be improved. And then as a result of this mindset and then reflection, we can create flexible learning. So this flexible learning should be fluid and provided with flexibility to support one-to-one learning or collaboration and even independent thinking and group discussion. So as teachers has evolved, the online classroom must provide ways for students to work alone or interact with their peers and provide areas of collaboration. So during the offline activities, in the asynchronous one, learners alleviate a lot of pressure. It is an advantage when they are continually learning at their own pace in connection with the lesson presented in class. And when learners feel more responsible for the learning, they are more likely to be dedicated and work harder. So this not only helps to keep learners engaged, but saves time by teachers. So that's it, my sharing for tonight in this class. I hope that we can practice all of this in our online class and continually make a difference in the lives of our learners. So as I end, according to Alan Audrey, we need innovation in education and dedication to the task before us. That's all. Thank you so much, and God bless us all.
Thank you so much, Miss Lovely, for sharing your very personal experiences and innovative practices as elementary teacher related to you, the teaching and learning process in the new normal. For sure, our participants right now are able to get some of the ideas that have some the takeaways related to your presentation. So let's move on to our second resource speaker. If you have some questions or clarification, just reserve that for our open forum later on. So our second resource speaker graduated cum laude in his undergraduate program for Bachelor of Secondary Education, major in Physical Sciences at Technological Institute of the Philippines. He finished his Master of Arts in Education, major in Science Education at Roosevelt College Foundation, FEU Group of Schools. Currently, he is in the process of completing his graduate studies for Doctor of Education, major in Educational Administration. He is a Teacher 3 and designated as a Science, Technology, and Engineering Program Coordinator of San Jose National High School, SDO Antipolo City. Also, he is an assistant professor under the College of Arts and Sciences, Natural Science Department of Our Lady of Fatima Antipolo Campus, an active member of Ascendance Asia Singapore, and received various awards as presenter in Research Advocacy for Community Empowerment last 2019, Best Oral Presenter SDO Antipolo Research Festival, and a finalist of a Hamaka Award of Excellence in Education. Recently, he received his research entitled The Use of Science Module in Teaching Chemical Bonding for Daytime Student was published in Ascendance Asia Journal of Multidisciplinary Research to share with us the innovations in teachers' classroom administration, focusing on secondary level perspective. Again, my fellow academicians, please join me in welcoming our second resource speaker, Mr. Kevin L. De Guzman.
Thank you, Ma'am Mel, for that generous introduction. Good evening, everyone. Before I start, I want to see your smile. Can I see your smile? Some are napipilitan. I know that being a teacher is very tasky and it's very full of effort, but I hope that the fire, the passion is rekindling despite of the current impediment in our education right now. So allow me to share my screen. I hope I will not crash. Am I audible, sir, Mamel?
Yes.
Yes, Sir Kevin.
Thank you. Can you see my PowerPoint presentation? Mhm. It's not responding. Sir Jack, can you present my PowerPoint? Thank you. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Ayun, lumabas na siya. Yeah. Am I doing the PowerPoint, sir? Or you?
Ako, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So
Yes, sir.
everyone, sorry for the technical glitch. So innovation in classroom administration amidst the pandemic. So we will be looking to the innovation in the perspective of secondary education. But before we go to the innovation, I will give you some background what happened to the education because of the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as I will give you some tips and application wherein you could use for your flexi learning or flexible learning. So the first thing is, what is the meaning of this figure? I have here, I hope my reading is correct. It's 1,048,817,181. Next slide, please. So this number or this figure, according to the UNESCO, is the number of the student that was affected by the pandemic in the entire world. Actually, it's rising right now. I think it's 1.5 billion. Next, sir. Furthermore, according to UNESCO, 2021, 1 year in the COVID-19, over 100 million are expected to fall below the minimum proficient level in reading as a result of the health crisis. Next, please. And in the Philippines, there are about 27 million learners affected by the health crisis. I did not yet include the students in the high school or higher education. Next, please. And according to Sanchez, last 2020, the Philippines education sector expended 333 billion pesos. Nasaan kaya yan? 333 billion pesos just to mitigate the repercussion of the pandemic. But, next please. Who to blame? The question is who to blame? I know it's difficult to teach. I know students are having difficulties in learning, but who to blame? Is it the COVID-19, which is scientific data are already telling us that there will be a pandemic coming? Al Gore said that. Bill Gates said that. Miriam Defensor Santiago, before she died, said that we need to be prepared of the upcoming COVID-19. Or us, that we did not prioritize the pandemic, but rather we prioritize other things that we see more important. That's why we are failed to capacitate ourselves and to equip us with the skill necessary for our job. Next po. New normal or pakiclick po. Or normal in education. We are keep on telling that new normal in education, online, blended. Let's use Zoom. Let's use Google Meet. Let's use Google Classroom. Let's do every online platform. But actually, it is already normal in education to use those things. It's already normal, but rather COVID-19 is not the cause of these changes, but a factor that accelerates the inevitable revamping in education. So don't blame COVID-19. According to United Nations Policy Brief Education during COVID-19 and beyond, August 2020, there are challenges in education. Let me read to you. There is a challenge in distance learning because we are not used in distance learning, but rather face-to-face. Essential role of teacher is now shifting from a facilitator to a negotiator. O kaya mo ba yan? Can you do this one? Can you do this one? Can you pass it in a deadline? Ma'am, I can't. Okay, let's prolong the deadline. Accelerated changes in the modes of delivery quality education. We are now getting involved in the new methods of education, especially in delivery, training, and support, as well as we are hoping that the education community will support every teachers, every institution that are now suffering because of this pandemic. What are the recommendations of this policy brief? Is to suppress the transmission. That's why we don't have face-to-face interaction. Protect education financing and coordinate for impact, build resilient education system, and I hope 1 year after the pandemic, we already built a very profound education system and reimagine education, accelerate changes in teaching learning. Next, please. What is the situation of education right now? I know you already know it, and some of you experience it already. The first situation is some students were able to access the internet, but not all. Am I correct? Out of more than 50 students, only few of the students could access internet. Or all of the students could access internet, but they don't have the enough internet speed to accommodate the platform, especially the Zoom. The Zoom has a very wide bandwidth when it comes to other platforms. Next one, most of the teacher have no prior experience. Aminin na po natin, we don't have prior experience in teaching online learning at a distance, right? And I am very lucky that I'm affiliated to universities like FEU and Our Lady of Fatima University that we are using long before the COVID-19 pandemic happened. We are using Canvas, we are using Google Workspace already. Teachers are exploring other modes of delivery like online teaching. New environment means new pedagogy. The pedagogy before in the classroom setting is applicable right now, but you cannot utilize it properly or effectively because of the distance between our students. Next one is production of outstanding learning experience. How students will learn from us. Next, please. Next is many teachers sought to replicate what they normally do in the classroom. In classroom, they do lecture. In online learning, they do lecture. But actually, we already know that the attention span of students in a classroom is shorter in comparison with other attention span. It will be shorter inside inside their houses because there are a lot of diversions. So therefore, lecturing 1 hour, 3 hours in a topic is not appropriate in an online learning. Kaya nga we have asynchronous and synchronous discussions. Not all students could access synchronous classes reliably because of the internet connection. Only privileged and could pay 1,500 pesos will have a very fast internet connection. Siblings and parents of the student need the access of internet as well as the technology. There are some households that there are a lot of students, but they don't have 1:1 gadget. There are 3 students, but there is only 1 cell phone. We always need to look on that. Because of the internet service, some teachers sought the help of others. That's very good. With previous experience of contemporary delivery of learning. And we are now discovering open educational resources. Actually, we do innovation, not because of the COVID-19 pandemic. Innovation is already there because there is a new demand of knowledge-based society. We need to, there are a lot of things to do, there are a lot of things to learn, but in a short period of time. Therefore, we need to compress it. That's why we have MELTs, the most essential learning competency that was provided by the DepEd. And we do innovation to achieve the 4C of the 21st century society. Despite of online distance learning, we need to still create experiences that will cater for critical thinking, good communication, collaboration, and creativity. As well, of course, we need to teach our students how to be a lifelong learning. There are global recessions due to COVID-19. My stocks, my Bitcoins are already decreasing, but I hope it will be mitigated. Next, please. Another trigger is the new student expectation. What are the expectations of the students from the teachers? The students are now gathering a lot of information from the internet because the information are already accessible from us. Therefore, they are more mature than before. Kahit the kinder will blame you about things. More students are combining work and study. We need to have flexible learning, how to be a flexible learning. You could learn, you could do work in your own specific time, in your own specific ways. Next expectation is they want to have active engagement. And they need to be given situation wherein they could apply their knowledge, which is real. Okay, when you say 1 meter, 1 meter. Okay, 1 meter, then you're pointing for a you are pointing or you're showing them a ball pen. Of course, it's not a real life situation. And students are expecting that we need to utilize the technology. Next, please, Sir Jack. Thank you. Another trigger is the new technologies. Okay, students have more control over access to this technology. They use it to create and to share knowledge. Next one, we need, as teachers, we need to leverage the control and to enhance the motivation. Okay, you use YouTube videos for the motivation. You use Canvas, you use Loontunes, and always remember, technology is very, very important in learning. We don't have to fight. It's not a war between a teacher and a technology. Okay, you use technology to create or to give or to provide the standard education necessary or necessitated by the student. Next one, we do innovation in the classroom because the workspace, the world is changing very, very fast. In just one snap, may pandemic. In just one snap, we need to shift from face-to-face to online learning. We need to do more project-based work. Reporting is not applicable anymore. Okay, give them things to work with. We are now in Platin organizational structure, wherein every individual has a capacity to rise above. We need to develop skills. Okay? And then pandemic has disrupted the global economy. Therefore, there are high employment rates. Luckily, we are not affected with that. But there are a lot of waiters who are now selling in Shopee, selling pares-pares along the road because they cannot practice their work anymore. We need to do upskilling and reskilling of focus of education, and we need to be flexible, especially in the competence-based and assessment. What are some innovation? You may apply blended learning. Blended learning aims to be or to put all of the different approaches in learning and to get all of the positive or the advantages of that learning or those approaches. According to research, students tend to perform moderately better in the blended courses than either fully online or face-to-face learning. Next one, students are satisfied with blended learning rather than looking on the computer and listening to the teacher who's talking or lecturing. Blended learning gives students more flexible in their schedule. Next one, this mode is very successful when it comes to science and technology, but it's successful as well in other subject areas. And lastly, research shows that teachers find teaching blended courses reinvigorating and rewarding, as well as they enjoy the flexibility of blending learning approaches. What are the examples of blending learning? It could be station approach, but we cannot do that right now. Lab rotation, enrich virtual, we could do that. Flex blended learning, asynchronous and synchronous discussion, flip classroom. Oh, before you enter the class, watch this video for you to have prior knowledge before we discuss. Okay, individual rotation, project-based, okay. Write a reflection about this one, research about this one, and read this, and we will have a debate after. Self-directed blended learning, inside-out blended learning, until such time you reaches the mastery-based learning. Next, please. Next one is to create a virtual environment where collaboration will prosper. Yeah, we are physically far from each other, but we are virtually near. Therefore, collaboration is not difficult. Make it in a small group. Okay, a group of 2, a group of 3, but if there will be a lot of group members in a group during the virtual collaboration, therefore, some of the students will not take part in the activity. As mentioned by Zook 2018, collaborative learning is a method of teaching where students are assigned into groups and are expected to work with specific tasks according to their capacities. The students are expected to share their knowledge to other members of the group in order to achieve their common goal. It enables students to construct knowledge through questioning, discussion, sharing of perspective, and sources. And we are now shifting to be a facilitator. Before, prior this pandemic, we are facilitator, but right now we are assessors of learning. You are not pinpointing what are the things to be done. Okay? You are giving them the things to be done. According to the Regional Memorandum number 23 series of 2016, otherwise known as implementation of the pedagogical approaches mandated by RA 10533, which was published by the DepEd Calabarzon, the Regional Office of DepEd Calabarzon encouraged the use of 2C, 2-1, 2L, or 2I, rather, and 1R approaches to heighten the enactment of the enhanced basic curriculum. And those are constructivists, collaboration, inquiry-based, integrated, and reflective. Next, sir. Yan. Another one, another innovation that you could do is to apply open educational sources, OER. What are those? Khan Academy is one of them. Are you familiar with it, participants? I hope you're familiar with it. Khan Academy, Chem LibreText, Britannica Encyclopedia, those are open resources. OER are forms of short lecture, for example, in YouTube. Discussion of protein metabolism. There will be a lot of videos discussing protein metabolism. You could use that. Animation, simulation, like the lobster. As Sir Ryan, as the school to buy the lobster. The lobster is very, very good when it comes to chemistry or scientific laboratory experiments. That's a simulation. Student will just, in a click of a mouse, the student could mix chemicals, and what will happen to the real life will also happen in the virtual. Virtual worlds and many other formats enable educators or instructors and students to access and apply knowledge. OER can be provided as course content or specially target to help the student who struggle in keeping up or not fully mastered key concept or techniques. You may use OER for intervention as well. OER has become a major source of rapid course development and for lowering the cost of learning of many students. Like Harvard, they providing online courses, free online courses. But after you finish the online course, you need to pay $100 for you to get the certificate. Biktima din po ako nun. And OERs are more interactive. It reduces student expenditures and facilitate updated contents as well as it's really accessible via mobile learning. Next, please. But when you are using OER, you must remember the 5R. Okay? There are open resource materials wherein you need to retain. You can make your own, but you need to control the copies. You may distribute it to only 10 persons or 10 students. Next one is redistributed. Can share original and altered version of the content. Reuse. It was you saw a worksheet, an English worksheet, an English grammar or literature worksheet in Google. Tapos nakalagay doon, it's OER license reuse. You may reuse it again and again and again. Remix. There is a portion of an OER and another portion of OER, but both are good. You may put them together or revise accordingly to the needs of the students. Next, please. Other open example of open educational resources are TED, YouTube, Learning Commons, Khan Academy, LibreText, and Commons official educational, open educational resources. Next, please. In DepEd, you may use the Learning Resources Portal or the DepEd Commons. Next po. Next one, we need to cater the changing student control, student choice, and the independence of the student. The student can now access a variety of content free of charges in one click, in one keyword. They could access an entire library of information given by Google search. Student gave tools such as smartphones, video cameras to collect digital examples and data that can be edited and used in student work. The emphasis on the important and relevant subject domain, which was resulted to the most essential learning competency. And within the framework of the learning objectives, more flexible approaches are coming. Next po. Next one, student takes responsibility of their own learning and approaches to the skills to be taught and learned. Give them the autonomy to learn on their own. This approach challenged the teachers to move away from selecting and transmitting information in large books, large blocks, large chunks, such as 1 hour lecture. You cannot do that anymore. Even in college, we only do 40 minutes lecture or less than, or providing a single textbook to read. Your role now is shifting from before a facilitator, like what I said in the previous slide, you are now educator, negotiator. Okay? What is negotiator? You will present a lot of activities. Okay, student, let's have an agreement. There are 10 activities. How many can you do that? how many you can accomplish? Ma'am 5, ma'am 3. Oh, let's go to 3. Okay. And when will be the deadline of these activities? From facilitator to negotiator. Parang business negotiator na kayo. Okay. Next po. New forms of assessment. Before, we have paper and pen assessment, essay, multiple choices, recitations. What are the new forms of assessment? Canvas, Google Classroom, Google Forms. I hope you're using Google Forms in doing your pieces. We could use Mentimeter, Pro quizzes, and there are a lot more. Next po. Example of which is the Canvas. You may use Google for Education, Google Workspace, Microsoft Teams, Discord. You may use Discord, Litmos, EBC, and Quizzes. Okay. Now we are now shifting to self-directed and non-formal online learning. In DepEd, we called it as MDL, modular distance learning, because according to the survey done by the Department of Education, a lot of students wants to have modular distance learning rather than online learning. Maybe they already foreseen what will happen if there will be an online learning. But in our school, especially in my program, which is the STE program, wherein it is the cream of the crop of the student. These are science and mathematically inclined students, wherein they could access internet. We always use blended learning. Opportunities. Go back po tayo, sir. Thank you. Opportunities for self-directed and non-formal online learning are likely to play an increasing important role in learning, especially in the emerging post-COVID-19 economy. Next po. To sum it all, emerging classroom innovation trends. Your innovation inside your classroom, your virtual classroom, must be open, flexible, and accessible to learning. Lecture is no longer the unique center of learning. Increased sharing of power between the teacher and the student. The role of the teacher is changing from a facilitator to a negotiator. There is an increase of or apprehending development of student economy and the utilization of technology. And always remember, students support each other through different medium of communication, but with the guidance, support, and feedback from the teacher. And before I end my discussion, I will leave you with this quotation. Things may never go back to the normal, but it's okay. You may need to create a new normal. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much, Mr. Kevin de Guzman, for that very comprehensive discussion related to your topic. So, such a very evidence-based pedagogy and framework in the new normal, and all of that presentations that you have is pertaining to address the presenting challenges that we have in these thriving times. Thank you so much, Mr. De Guzman, for your sharing today. And let's move on to our last resource speaker. Our last resource speaker is currently pursuing his doctoral program at Far Eastern University, where he also received his undergraduate and master's degree. Before his 3 year in teaching career, he has organized various meetings and programs on faculty development, research linkages, and active in some religious and community involvement. And finally, to enlighten us on the innovations in teachers' classroom administration on the tertiary level perspective. Join me once again in welcoming our last resource speaker for tonight, Mr. Dian D. Ocampo.
Thank you, Ma'am Mel. And to Dr. Barbie Fernandez, good evening. And to all the participants, good evening. Let me share my screen. Can you see my screen now, sir? All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so this is a continuation on the topic, which is we're looking at to the tertiary level perspective. And again, as the two speakers, I will be sharing also my personal experiences when it comes to handling classroom in a classroom in the tertiary level of education. I would like to start with this quote from Paulo Freire, and he said that whoever teaches learns in the act of teaching, and whoever learns teaches in the act of learning. And despite the overwhelming consequences of the pandemic, this global crisis has always been an extraordinary time for learning. We are learning how adaptable and resilient educational systems, policymakers, teachers, students, and families can be. The role of teachers is rapidly evolving, becoming in many ways more difficult than when learning took place only in person. Let's have some of the effects of COVID-19. As this data has been shown to you earlier by Sir Kevin. Let me. Okay. So there is a big effect on the new social economic crisis of not only in the global arena. And then specifically one area that affected is the education. And about 1.5 or 1.52 billion students all over the world, that has been affected because of this pandemic. And there are also around 60.2 million teachers all over the world that has been affected. And that remains out of schools worldwide. And this data came from UN Secretary General in 2020. And in the Philippines, the effect of COVID-19 in the Philippines, there were 27.7 million students who were affected. That was in the school year 2019-2020. And there were 2,396 schools in the private and public schools. By the way, the figure 27.7 million students, these are students from the kindergarten to the senior high school students. This is exclusive of the tertiary level. I was trying to look for the statistics for the tertiary level, but it's hard for me to look on it. But what was I able to find data is the statistics on the total schools, both in the private and in college, private and public, where there are 1,729 private schools and 246 public schools in the Philippines. And this data came from Liego 2020. Okay, in this talk, I will be discussing 3 points. And the first point would be the current status of online classroom. So we'll be talking, or I'll be giving you some situations or scenarios that based on what I interviewed some of my friends who are teaching both in the public and the private. So they shared some of their experiences on the current status of online classroom. And then the second would be I'll be discussing with you what are the different issues, challenges related to virtual classroom, which it has been discussed also some of with the two speakers, where let's try to see whether all these issues and challenges are also seen in the tertiary level. And the third would be what are the innovative response or the different response measures of teachers to improve the teaching in digital classroom administrations. I am currently teaching in the senior high school department and college department of Metro Manila College, which is located in the Quezon City. And the digital platform is something new for both teachers and the students. We all know that. And there had no trainings. When we had this, everything we did not able to anticipate all of these things that will happen. That there is an abrupt closures or disruptions of classes because of this pandemic. And with this, there is a need to continue the learning process, the teaching and learning process. And with that, there had no trainings or training interventions given to empower teachers with these digital skills before immediate after Hassan nationwide lockdown. So teachers who have parallel skills in teaching in face-to-face classroom are unfortunately crippled in this process of ongoing digital shifting. They are struggling to learn new technology or techno-pedagogies to teach in online classes. And up until now, there is really a struggling. They're really struggling, especially those from with age teachers, and they are really struggling on it. They are spending more time, so they're spending more time to skill up themselves with the required digital mastery in virtual classrooms. But however, there are still teachers, those teachers that are digital immigrants who still feel awkward with digital ecosystem of online classes, which induce new concerns about the online teaching. It's just like me. Prior to transferring the virtual classroom classes, which I have been using already the Google Classroom. I've been using this for add-ons lang on the different activities for my students. Let's say, for example, I feel that a certain topic, there is need more practice for the students because I'm teaching accounting subjects and the business subjects. So practice, I really give them different activities. And if I will redo it, I mean, teach again those topics in the class, I will be delaying some of the topics which has been planned in the curriculum or in the syllabus. So what I do is I normally send out in the Google Classroom, and then I let the students finish that on their time, on their convenience. And there's no specific, there is a deadline, but the deadline is not being strictly implemented. Okay. Up until that, we implemented already the use of different learning modalities. And in my school, we're using the what do you call this? The Google Meet. But we're using the LMS that is subscribed or done by the CLEAD. Okay, they call it a CLEAD. This one is not working. Why? Okay. Sir Gerald, paano ko to? Sorry.
Click nyo po yung ano, yung second screen nyo po. Yung PowerPoint nyo mismo.
Remove the,
Sige po, click nyo lang po yan tapos lalabas na po yung next slide niyan.
yung view.
Apo, yan po. Sige po, click nyo po yung mouse.
Excellent.
For
Sorry.
next.
Okay.
Yan. Nag-next na po.
All right. The next is, let's try to look at what are the current status of the virtual classroom here in the Philippines. And these are based on what I've researched and based on what I interviewed some of my friends, as I have told you earlier, on that who are also teaching both in public and private institutions. Some of these are students don't understand half of their activities. So those are just some of the current status that needs to be addressed. How innovative these teachers will have to respond with this kind of situation in the virtual classroom. And then the second would be the teacher on a computer screen would hardly make sense to them. Yeah, that's very, like for example, if you will ask the students if they can still hear you, if they're still there, it will really take time before you will get answer from them. So it's really hard to sense whether they are still with you, diba? You're talking, but you don't sense whether they are there or not. And then during the classes, there is no way of knowing who is paying attention and who is not. Why? Because we cannot require the students to open their palm, diba? Kasi if they'll be opening their palm, definitely there will be crashing and everything. Problem will encounter. So it's hard to pay attention. It's hard to know whether who among your students are paying attention with you or not. And then the fourth is they wanted to conduct regular online classes, but most of their students are from marginal families and they don't have internet connection. So this friend of mine are working in a public school, and so how are you going to manage? How are you going to administer this kind of class? You wanted to conduct your class, but because of this situation, it's hard. So as a teacher, how are you going to manage this kind of virtual classroom? Okay. The next is, this is actually the problem, especially on the first implementation of the online learning when the COVID-19 pandemic has started last March. Siguro the first 2 months, there is a struggling with the internet connection. But as of the moment, like for example, in our case, parang there is an improvement. So at least the government has doing something on the improvement of the internet connections, and of course, with the help of the service providers. And the next, the quality of technology or gadgets used by the students are not working well for an online class. Yes, that's true. It's like what Sir Kevin said a while ago. If the capacity of the mobile phone cannot let's say for example, the students will have to watch a video and then what do you call this? Download it. And if the capacity of the cell phone, of the mobile phone cannot do it, then the student may not be able to view that resource. And the next would be the quality of technology or gadgets used by the students are not working well or the students are not thoroughly prepared to embrace the e-learning system in the classroom. Yes. The students, not just only the students, but both the students and the teachers are not thoroughly prepared. The next would be the uniformity of the e-learning platform for all faculty members. This was some of the status before. Kasi parang who's going to prepare for the module that will be used for our students? Are we going to use a module that will be used by everyone? Who's going to prepare? And that is actually a status or a situation that is happening during the pandemic. And Are we going to use the same as what it is stated in the book? If we are going to use that, are we not be violating the intellectual property rights? So those are some of the situations or status of current education. Okay, current status in the virtual classroom. Next would be advanced lessons, intended learning outcomes, quizzes, and examinations are not prepared per unit or chapter. Okay, this teacher that I interviewed of mine, siguro he or she wanted to make a ready-made quizzes, examinations prior, diba? Prior to the discussions and everything, so that these students will be able to read already, be ready on whatever quizzes that will be given to them. Yeah. And then lack of financial resources. Basically, this is the overall, the number one current status of the education system, which all teachers are experiencing, especially those students who belong in the marginalized family. All right. So lack of financial resources, there is the lack of financial resources wherein it has hindered the ability for many schools to quickly springboard into a digital teaching technology or model. Underfunded schools and children are suffering during this pandemic because they have no other means to be able to provide online resources. That makes the enrollment of the basic education, if we notice the figure a while ago, there is 27,000 over 27.7 million students in the basic education, diba? In the school year 2019-2020. But the next school year comes, it becomes 21.7. It's almost parang there is a big decrease because of this lack financial of resources. Okay, so there is a big difference on the number of students who enrolled in the basic education. And then moreover, the online teaching has different challenges, and those challenges are varied across different parts of the country. Like in mountains or mountainous areas, and those that are in the forest have poor enabling internet establishments or difficulty of Wi-Fi connection that cause great concern. In addition, there is also lack of resources, like of training among the students and faculty members, as I have said earlier, that there are more classwork. There are also more classwork and activities given to the students. No submission of course requirements on specified due dates or deadlines. Active participations, there's a problem on the active participations of the students in the online activities. The availability of online resources, such as because some of teachers would forward or send files in a PDF format or even in a PowerPoint presentation or a video format, wherein students may not be able to open these files. So yeah, that's another issue. The students from poor economic backgrounds and remote areas in the rural or provinces have also experienced or they be crippled with shifting from schoolrooms to virtual classrooms, especially those that are in the remote areas or in the provincial areas. But they really struggled on the use of the virtual classroom. And what are some of the And it can be concluded that online versus face-to-face classes has brought out some intrinsic limitations of online teaching, like issues related to instructional design and delivery, where wherein what instruction or which instructional design should be used by the school, or if this is the instructional design prescribed by the school, but the students may not be able to cope up with this prescribed instructional design. Okay, how does teachers will address this kind of concern or issue, diba? Which type of instructional design is he or she going to implement with his or with her students that would best fit and effective for the instruction. So basically, some of the, what do you call this? Some of the instructional designs and the design and delivery that is being used as of the moment in our school is the asynchronous, synchronous, and the modular. But these are not a requirement, or the students upon enrollment, they are required to sign which type of instructional design and delivery are they going to use, if they will be using the modular type, asynchronous, or this asynchronous or the synchronous, or the mix. Okay. And then some issues and challenges related to virtual classrooms are students on this online discipline. And the online discipline there, it's really hard. Diba? It's really hard. How does teachers will address on these challenges or issues, okay, specifically on students' discipline? And then next is the learning engagements in the virtual classroom. There, it's really hard, diba? How are you going to measure the learning engagement of the students in a virtual classroom? It's really hard. So how can teachers, okay, how can teachers manage this? Next would be teacher-taught relationships. It's important also that teacher would establish a good relationship with the students. So this is an issue and a challenges in related to a virtual classroom. That how can teacher would establish a relationship with his or with their students in a virtual classroom? Next would be, of course, the online assessment. What is the best online assessment are you going to give? Because it's easy for students now to just copy and paste to like, for example, if you give a multiple choice questions, diba? It's easy to just send it to a group, to a GC, and then later on, they're able to answer that, diba? So what the teacher would still think over what kind of online assessment that would really be best to use by these teachers, diba? Yeah. So the online assessment is also one of the issues and challenges related to virtual classroom. And next would be the non-cognitive development of the students. Yes, kasi diba, when you started already, there is an online. How can we develop the skills of the student, the social skills of the student? So it's hard. Diba, parang how can we develop yung you try to develop the self-esteem, the what do you call that? Yung kanilang social skills, yung how can they develop to become a leader, diba? Or how can they work as a team? How can they work with a team? So this is also as an issue in a virtual classroom. How can you make the students work with a group, diba? Yan. So with the virtual classroom, it's hard. How can we do this? And Many questions have also aroused in teachers' minds from how to start online classes to make use of available resources to creating a supportive learning environment. With this, some of the challenges encountered by teachers' administration in their virtual classroom, what are their solutions or innovations they implemented so that the students will be able to comply with all the requirements? What are some of the innovative strategies of teachers, classroom administration to create a rich learning environment and effective teaching that learning process will take place? How can they manage or administer their virtual classroom to make education teaching worthwhile in the times of the pandemic, despite having range of challenges and issues? The performance of inculcating knowledge and instructional materials to the learners in a face-to-face classroom system is what we call teaching. It is a noble profession as we treat for teachers being the key role players involved in designing and orienting programs for learners' all-inclusive development. Educators have always been striving to perform their obligations towards teaching against all kinds of turn-down situations. Amidst the current catalysts or cataclysm, teachers may take the following response measures to improve the teaching in digital classrooms. And number one is having an easygoing shifting from offline to online classes. So with this, teachers or online classes have been on the rise amidst this home-based learning atmosphere. It stimulates teachers to participate in online teaching in virtual classrooms. Teachers use the internet and various applications to develop digital skills throughout the online course. However, many are grappling with the teaching difficulties, and there are few pondering about how to go for online teaching. In this case, teacher may think of having two ways and recorded video lectures and other uploading e-contents in the forms of PowerPoint presentation or the PPTs, the Word or PDF files, and etc. The video lectures may be presented using a video-enabled synchronous or asynchronous streaming depending on the nature and objective of the instructional designs. There have been different online platforms, as mentioned earlier, where teachers can take online classes. Besides, teachers can also use different social apps like Telegram, WhatsApp to share e-contents with their students. However, for teachers who are working in rural areas of economically poorer areas, due to digital divide, the use of FB Messenger and mobile phones may prove or proven as effective ways to share learning materials and various study links with their students. Teachers must seek the proper training to enable a greater chance of success in the distance teaching format. Likewise, they must acquire the skills and strategies to train their students to be successful in digital learning format. This includes instructions for the students how to change background to black view of home environments, as well as things like notepads or siblings on camera, using the chat feature and protocol for break rooms. So those are the obligations or things that the teacher will have to orient their students. The second is setting optimal class for online teaching. It is painstaking aspect of online teaching. It has been observed that educational institutions do not put any upper or lower limits on online class or online class size. However, experts have asked the stakeholders to limit the class size even for online teaching, as offline teaching in the conventional classroom, that the student-teacher ratio, at least this is the standard, which is 30:1 for primary and 35:1 for upper levels. And according to economic survey, 2017 to 2018, the country has an average student classroom ratio of Yeah, and the 30 for a face-to-face. But for a size of or in an online class, 40 is ideal. And then 15 or even fewer is or fewer students is better because it will be easier to manage, especially if there are recitations that will be given. If you ask questions from them, at least these 15 students will be able to you can ask them in one session. And then the third would be designing online course materials using multiple strategies. The virtual teaching has put new demands from teachers in curriculum reconstruction and the teaching content designs. It commands teachers to provide enriched human and non-human resources and pertinent animated and unanimated study materials. So in order to make classroom very interactive, the materials that the teachers just use. Kasi, di ba, we're talking about the attention span of the students. And so if we try to make use of human and non-human resources, animated and animated study materials, then we get their engagement. Okay? We motivate them to be more engaged in the classroom. A teacher is no longer acting just as an instructor now, but a content developer and a designer of online curriculums. The teacher needs a good content communicating skill too in virtual teaching. Some of the simple tips a teacher should keep in mind while preparing digital contents, including the PowerPoint presentation, such as it must have an explicit text, okay, so it should be direct, and improve contents with detailed facts and explanations. So that's very important. Language must be simple and formal, and it must be well designed with the use of graphic themes, gaming features, and various templates. Also, especially when making video lecture, it should be kept in short, around 30 to 45 minutes, from introducing the topic to justify the need and main theme's presentation to summarize at the end. The fourth is making teaching more interesting. So you should include when you discuss things, it must be fully explained. You make some illustration, you illustrate topics, and then you do question answer sessions or group discussions, and then ensure, of course, a strong presence in the virtual classroom. So how are you going to do that? Of course, when you always ask questions from them, and then when you ask questions, of course, you request your students, you request them to open their thumb so that you know that they are really the one reciting. Diba? So in order for you to know that there is a strong presence of the students during your class hour or your class session, so you have to, that's what I usually ask my students. They will turn off their cam, but once I ask their names for a recitation, they usually open the cam so that I would recognize them that they are the one who are reciting. And then lectures must be blended with thought-evoking incentives and humor. Yeah. So evoking incentives and then humor, teachers should make students feel empowered. Okay, so we should try to empower our students also. It's not only the teachers doing things, but we try to empower students also in the discussion. And then the fifth is strengthening students' learning. Engagement in virtual classes. How do we do that? Request the students to open cam during recitation, devise or require students for a daily lab. How is this? One of my co-teacher is usually doing this, a daily lab. What is she doing? Right after the class, right after the session, or not, this is not every day, but per week. Kasi if we do it every day naman, if she's going to do it every day daw, it will be a burden also for the students. Now, for the 2 meetings, because in college, for one course, we're meeting it twice a week. Okay. And in 1 week, you need to submit a daily log. Okay. Or a weekly log. They call it, but she called it as a daily log. Now, what is the content of this daily log? The student will have to indicate the topics that he learned or they learned, and what are the topics that they did not understand well. And they will ask also questions. They are required to give at least 3 questions. Okay? And then use virtual or online attendance apps and software. And there are a lot of attendance software already to check whether students are really in, are they in the whole session. Kasi, like for example, in the first day of my class, as if this student doesn't know na there is an online attendance. And so I discussed to them that their attendance, okay, is being monitored because this is electronically generated. And then 6 is making use of existing online resources. Okay, so I know there are a lot of online resources, as mentioned earlier by Sir Kevin, and one of the online content providers that you can look into our YouTube channel. I also included TikTok, Instagrams. Why? Because there are already educational topics there wherein it can be a good source of information also that you can give it to the students. And as you all know, that TikTok nowadays is actually very familiar or famous na po yung TikTok, right? And then also there are available SlideShare, available presentations or topics in the SlideShare, and then the podcast. So next is assisting those who are responsive and slow learners in classes or in a virtual classroom. Now, ensure the availability of video. So if you want, you have to video your lecture and then make it available so that those students who cannot attend or who are not they are not responsive during your lecture, and then they can go back. Okay, they can look into that. And then provide space or remedial classes. So I usually do this, especially in the college. Why? Because there are still students who are not, who perform not performing well in class. So what should I do? I ask them to meet me at their convenience time. I will not dictate what the remedial classes is done during on their convenience time, and I do not dictate what time should they be. I should be meeting them. And sometimes, if there are what do you call this? If there are problems, especially in the data connections, all right, or they run out of load already, what I do is that I do also a call conferencing. There is a call conferencing, and I make sure also that there is an open communication, which there is a group chat for each. I think this is also familiar with everyone, the group chat. And then of course the FB Messenger, wherein they can also directly message. And every time I always make sure that I am open anytime. The whole day is 24/7. Even like for example, if I'm doing my requirements in the doctoral program and there are students who late in the morning, like for example, or in the morning, mga around 3 or 2 p.m. If there are direct message, I respond to their messages, because in that sense they will be able to feel that you are really serious, diba? They feel na you are serious, and ma-feel nila na they are important, And so with doing that, I think we can help also learners to become more responsive, and they will be responsible enough also in their works. And then number 8 is appraising students' learning through online tests. Okay, so as I had said earlier, how are we? Okay, you have to innovate the type of questions. Okay, so kung before in the face to face, you're giving a multiple choice questions and a short answers. Now maybe you may use a focus questions or directed to theories and themes-based questions, and then provide questions that develop creative thoughts and critical thinking. Kasi if we would just give, as I have said, that if you will only give yung multiple choice questions and everything, it's easy for the students to just look in the internet and then just copy and paste, because we cannot guard them unless in a physical classroom. Diba? You just ask your students to put away everything on top of their desk, diba? And then you can guard them. You can see them what they're doing. But in an online class, it's really hard. So yan. Next is ensuring the teacher-learner relationships in online classes. Ayan. This is very important. Yung building your relationship with the class. But how can you build a relationship in a virtual classroom? Normally, in physical classroom, I usually do the same. I still do it, and there is a problem in an online kasi nga parang you don't see what's their reactions. Okay, now how are you going to establish the relationship in online classes? Normally, you should set on the first day of meeting. You should set your netiquettes, okay, or your policies, your rules and regulations, okay. But how are you going to do this? Because there are some teachers that they will dictate, okay, they will dictate on the rules, policies, and regulations. But in my case, and I find it effective, I ask them, let's say for example, for attendance, what do you want on attendance? Our meeting is like, for example, 11 to 12:30. Okay, shall we allow to have a latecomers? Okay, so we will discuss on that and then agree upon what rules and the standards or rules are we going to put on our class. Okay, so basically all the classroom rules, it did not come from me, it come from the students, or it would meet after. Okay, and then share personal learning experiences. That's how you can also motivate them, and then provide quick learning feedback. So that's very important. Kasi if you don't give feedback immediately, diba, they keep on delaying all the requirements that you give to them. They keep on delaying until such time that napuno na or tumataas na yung gawain nila, until such time that they can no longer submit any one of the requirements. And so provide quick learning, that's very important. Create a comfort communication. Yan, it's very important also. And I think this is the most important thing that you have to do is to build trust in the classroom, because if you build trust, you get the respect of the students, and then when they respect you, of course everything will go along, diba? It will put all things will put together in take place, okay? And then next is establishing homeschool online partnerships. Okay, this is like what the example of Ma'am Lovely a while ago. That how does she establish online partnerships? She established online partnerships with parents. She will develop or create a group chat. Okay, create a group chat. But in my case, I do not do that as an online partnerships. On the first day of classes, I will ask the number the contact number or mobile number of the parents of my students. And I with this, parang it's easy for me to call them. And then if there are concerns, like for example, a student is not coming to my class, I will just simply ask for directly to my to the parent what happened, why why the student is not attending my class. So yeah, use group-based tasks. Okay, encourage collaborative learning. That's very important. Use various incentives. So it's up to you what are the different incentives that you're going to do. Like for example, kasi I'm teaching what course is this? A project-based course. And it really have a lot of effort that they need to put in this course. Now, one of my incentive is because they need to pay something. Diba? They need to pay something. And I told them, I'm going to pay half of that for as long as you have a high performance for that certain course. Yon. So parang it's up to the to you as a teacher. What are these incentives that you can get in order to establish an online partnership with the students? And then create opportunities for play-based activities, listen to students' feelings, and value their opinions. So that's very important. You should always value, you have to listen them, and then you value their opinions. Next is establishing homeschool online partnerships. Okay. Sorry. This must be developing students' social-emotional aspects through teaching. And this is establishing homeschool online partnerships. So ensure family support, ensure better learning opportunities, establish spontaneous collaboration and hands-on supports with parents, and provide better parenting. Okay. You provide better parenting, meaning to say, you have to coordinate, you have to collaborate with the parents to provide better parenting with the students, especially if the students are unresponsive and there is really a problem. Kasi diba, with this, with the cause of this pandemic, with the effect of this pandemic, I should say, their emotions, the mental and emotions are being affected by the students. That makes them parang they don't have the drive and motivations to attend the classes anymore. So it's very important to have to collaborate with the parents to provide a better parenting. And then next is modification of content. So it's very important that you have to maximize also. Let's say, for example, if your time is, if there are how many meetings in one semester, let's say, for example, if there are 18 weeks of meetings, instead of you meet them with 18 weeks, maybe you have to divide that for an asynchronous meeting. Okay, so do not maximize the time allotted for each course. Let's say, for example, 1.5 hours. Yeah. So, like for example, in our school, if the class is 1.5 hours, teachers are only required to teach with 1 hour. Then the 30 minutes will be an asynchronous for the students. Okay. Of course, reduce class works or activities, and then look for continuity of content. So, kasi di ba, there is the syllabus that we have to finish. Okay. But if ever you cannot finish that, do not skip lessons. You still need to continue the content of the topic. Okay. So, look for the continuity of the content. And then the last would be changes in teachers' priorities with regards to students. Okay, so now teachers are now considered as counselors. Okay, they are now teachers' priorities is now transformed from guiding students forward in their academic progress to that of supporting them emotionally. They serve not only as teachers, but in some ways, they also become counselors. Yeah. Some element of change in their focus from being primarily concerned with the learning of their students to that of the students' mental health needs and emotional well-being. Because the students' emotional well-being impacted curricular and content decisions. The student well-being became the priority for several of my friends, and how that guided their communication and at times to build or maintain relationships with the students. And in closing, it can be said that COVID-19 pandemic has brought a far-reaching change in the way teachers teach in the face-to-face traditional classrooms. Hence, the teachers must collaboratively address all these emerged issues of online teaching. They must try to employ all kinds of possible techno-pedagogies and available resources to ensure effective teaching in online classes with the full support of the school administration by providing the vital teaching materials and learning resources. Schools must fund the resources needed in teaching and learning, will lead to successful e-learning classes and through preparation should be made such as the lessons, the intended learning outcomes, the quizzes or examinations per unit may be prepared by the department concerned or assessment department to make sure that the students have learned what they ought to learn. With that, thank you for listening.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Ian. And to our hello everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, Sir Paul, we can hear you po.
Okay, so thank you so much to our speakers, Sir Dian, Kevin, and Miss Lovely. All of those sharings that you have in lecture were very informative and helpful to our teachers, to our educators, especially to the situation that we're facing right now during pandemic. So with that, let us proceed to the question and answer portion. So I have here three questions which will be answered by our speakers. First, let's have question for Miss Lovely. Um, how do online distance learning in a way support quality education compared to modular distance learning?
Kindly repeat, Sir Paul, once again.
Miss Lovely. Okay, so here's the question for you. Hello, again.
Pakiulit na lang po, Sir Paul. Medyo, ano po, nawawala po kayo.
Okay, thank you. I'm really sorry, guys, because I'm experiencing right now internet connection problem. So I'll just repeat the question for you, Miss Lovely. How do online distance learning in a way support quality education compared to modular distance learning?
Okay, thank you, Sir Paul, for your question. So for me, both online distance learning and modular distance learning support quality education. But based on our school-based learning outcomes, uh, learners who are in the online distance learning are more immersed since they have their class every day and they have their teacher who can explain well their lesson. Whereas in the modular distance learning, it is self-paced and the learners have difficulties with it, especially in understanding their lesson. And based on our observation in our school, again, learners are not really answering their modules wholeheartedly, and many parents are the ones who are answering it. So I think it's good that learners are enrolled in the online distance learning. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Lovely. You know, considering the situation that we have now, we need to focus on
Sir Paul, can I
Sir Ryan, can you hear me?
Yes, Sir Paul. Can we proceed to
Okay,
the
thank you
next
so much.
question, Sir
So
Paul?
thank you so much, Miss Lovely. Yeah, sure. This is for Sir Kevin. What if during classroom innovation and teaching, um, they are non-compliant students? So how do you handle the situation?
Um, if my he- if what I heard is correct, so we are talking about non-compliant student, right? So Good evening, everyone, again. So when you meet non-compliant student, what you have to do, actually, you have to wait. It's not the appropriate answer for that question, but rather, actually, it's the passionate answer. You have to wait. You cannot force them to or ask them to pass immediately in a deadline the projects, the outputs that you are intending them to pass, but rather because of the difficulties and limitation, we need to consider that, and we have to wait. In the public school, we are still waiting for the first quarter outputs, and we are now in the third quarter. So you have to wait. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Mr. De Guzman, for that response. And let's go with Sir Dian. So, Sir Dian, here's your question coming from one of the participants. When a student do not submit the requirements in the course, so you inform the parents through a group chat. So, what are those issues or challenges you have encountered in such method in informing the parents? Do you have encountered issues or challenges informing the parents with regards to the issues related to the submission of the requirements of your learners?
Okay, thank you for that question, Ma'am Mel, or whoever asked that. Uh, Kasi when I chat kasi I get the messenger, what do you call the account of the parents. I meet them naman. I try to meet them and then give some of orient them what do they expect. Kasi when I ask them, let's say for example, can I just force through all my concerns with the students or with your child in the group chat, will that be okay? Let's say for example, if there are uh, missing requirements, can I, instead of directly messaging you, can I just give the message to the group chat so that the other parents should also be reminded? Kasi they might be that there will be some requirements, or they might be some students may not be also to also answer or submit the requirements, and so with that, giving it, I didn't have an issue, or there were no problems naman encountered when, since I started informing requirements. Yeah, actually, even before the pandemic, I usually establish relationship with the parents, okay, with the parents or with the guardians, whoever, and kasi it's very important that like for example, with the case of Sir Kevin kanina, sabi niya na you have to wait. Yeah, you really have to wait kasi you cannot do anything naman if they cannot provide you with the requirements. But what I usually do, parang napaka-powerful. It's a powerful thing when you always remind the students as well as their parents. Kasi if you always remind them, they will, kung parang nahihiya naman sila. And so what will happen? They will accomplish that. And so if there will be submissions na delayed yung submissions, at least it's not delayed as delayed. So I had no issues or problems when it comes to informing parents in a group chat. Thank you.
Okay, so thank you so much, Sir Dian De Ocampo, for that response regarding one of the inquiry or questions from our participants. And to all our amazing resource speakers for tonight, thank you so much for giving us a very insightful and learning experiences coming from your experiences as a teachers in the academy. And now let's proceed to the awarding of the certificates to our resource speakers. So once again, all our participants for tonight, thank you for coming. Certificate of appreciation is being awarded to our resource speakers, Ms. Lovely C. Torres, Mr. Kevin D. Guzman, and of course, Mr. Dian D. Ocampo. And the same certificate will be given also to our participants for attending for tonight's webinar entitled Innovations in Teachers' Classroom Administration Amidst the Pandemic, facilitated, of course, by the Edu 373 Seminar in Administrative Thoughts Applied in Education class. Given the 6th day of May 2021 at Far Eastern University, Manila. Signed, Barbara Wong Fernandez, our professorial lecturer for this class, Edu 373. Again, thank you so much for attending this webinar and generously giving your time for tonight. Thank you so much, our dear participants. And of course, to our resource speaker, thank you so much. So let's proceed to the to end our beautiful program for tonight. So we call in our one of the doctoral IE student, Mr. Ryan Garcia. Sir?
Thank you, Miss Mel. So, as Olan Autry once said, we need innovation in education and dedication to the task before us. So, my dear fellow teachers, this is a reality that we are currently experiencing nowadays in the face of the online distance learning and continuing variable changes. This pandemic even rooted our dedication into a deeper sense of commitment in learning our respective learning entities from our very students into our online classrooms, to our co-faculty, and even to our respective institutions. Indeed, we are now feel more empowered and equipped upon learning so much from our respective speakers tonight, and we will be endlessly grateful for that. Let me briefly restate main point from the knowledge that we have just recently obtained. That distance learning is a great time to grow innovation in our virtual classroom. Although innovation can be an intimidating and overwhelming word, but it doesn't have to be. Remember that innovation doesn't necessarily mean we have to invent something new, rather, but it can be making a shift or a change from what we have been doing and then creating something new. But the question is, are we now ready to embrace these innovations, or we are proud to say that we are already into it? And we are thankful because we have survived for the first year of this online distance learning. And let me leave you this question, and together, let us endure the constant challenges of this pandemic by sustaining excellent classroom administration through continuing innovations. On behalf of our professorial lecturer, Dr. Barbara Wong Fernandez, thank you so much to our dear speakers, to our dear participants. Keep safe always. God bless us all.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Ryan. And for our participants, I will type, type in the evaluation form for tonight that will serve as your uh, for the certificate of your attendance for tonight. And before that, let us now commemorate to sing our very own alma mater hymn together. This will be the as a sort of our commemoration to end our program for tonight.
Again, may I just remind everyone to please do the evaluation. The link is now posted in the chat box for your certificate. So there ends our program for tonight. I hope that everyone tonight will bring with you your acquired knowledge, determination, and motivation in cultivating your leadership in these trying times. And feel free to share this learning with your respective institution and colleagues as it will all help us in coping and in moving forward. So I am your host for tonight, Mr. Paul Malayos, signing off. God bless and stay safe, everyone. Thank you to our dear participants, resource speakers, and to our professorial lecturer in this subject, EDOC 373, Dr. Barbara Wong Fernandez. May God bless us all.
Thank you po, dear teachers. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for your patience. Don't forget po to fill out the link for sending of the um, certificates. Thank you po. Good night. God bless everyone.
Good night, everyone. God bless. So may I just acknowledge the presence of teachers from MCA, City Schools Division, and Antipolo, MMC, and participants from Polytechnic University of the Philippines, also from City Schools Division of Marikina.
Sir Randolph, nandiyan pala si Sir Randolph.
And also Miss Mariel from City Schools Division of Pasay.
And the students from EDUC 373 stay for a while.
If we are to po accomplishing the Google link po, we can now po leave na po the session. Thank you, dear MCA teachers.
We would also like to extend our heartfelt thanks to Sir Gerald for helping us for the success of this webinar. So thank you, Sir Gerald.
Nice to see some of our FEU students here. Donna, Randolph, si Paul. Okay, I think tayo na lang nandito.
Yes, Doc.
Yeah.
Yes po.
Again, just congratulations to the presenters, Lovely, Kevin, and Diane. So I think that was very informative. You seem to have prepared a lot, and marami kayong sharing in terms of theory and research and experience. So I'd like to congratulate the speakers and coordinators for tonight then. So El, Brian, and Paul, meron tayong mga technical glitches tonight, no? So I think even our timing got a little off because of that. So what do you say? How do you assess our presentation this evening? For all of you. How do you assess in a few words? Okay. Sige. Assessment. Sige, let's hear from the speakers first. Lovely. Any how do you feel about you being a resource person for a and to have quite an audience. Medyo, I think umabot tayo ng about 40 people as your audience.
50 plus 50. Yung una po, 50.
Yeah, about 48. Sige, Lovely.
Yes po, ma'am. Based on the registered audience, nakita ko po, ma'am, 48 to 50. And then nagdi-decrease and then nadadagdagan. Parang nag-out po sila and then bumabalik naman po. And in terms naman po sa sa technical difficulties, yes po, nakita naman po natin na we have technical difficulties, but then very patient po yung participants natin na hindi po talaga sila nagli-leave, ma'am. Yung audience natin kasi, ma'am, is from school ni Sir Ryan. Parang yung mga na-invite namin, ma'am, nag-invite naman kami from our schools pero konti lang yung nakapasok po. And then in terms naman po sa sa preparation ng slides, parang okay lang naman po kasi parang limited time lang po kasi, ma'am. So you have given us the 20 to 30 minutes to share our experiences. And it's nice to experience and it's an opportunity parang as a beginner, nakakakaba, ma'am, pero thank you kasi nabigyan kami ng opportunity to discuss with other educators.
So what do you think about yung 20 to 30 minutes? I think most of you used up your 30 minutes.
Opo, ma'am. Parang akin, ma'am, is lang siya, 28. Kasi before tayo on this day, ma'am, parang kahapon tinayman ko yung sarili ko na kahit gustuhin kong magdagdag ng more slides. But since I am the first speaker na mag-giveaway sa mga susunod, na kapag lumagpas ako sa time na yon, maybe hindi na magiging maayos yung flow ng program. So, yun po, ma'am. And yung ma'am, yung 20 to 30 is parang kulang talaga po, ma'am, kung marami kang ilalagay sa slides mo. So yun po.
Okay, si Kevin. Your actions.
Hello po, Doc.
Congratulations.
Thank you po. Congratulations everyone. In terms naman po ng technical, despite po na may technical difficulties, I will commend all of the technical working committee po na nakikita ko po sa chat nila na, sige, saluhin mo na yan. Okay. Crash na ako, kailangan ganito. May coordination pa rin po sila, hindi po sila, parang grace under pressure po sila. No? In terms naman po ng presentation, it's my first time po to talk with, di naman po first time to talk, to present, but rather first time po in a large number of people, and nakakaba po pala. Nauutal-utal po ako kanina. I hope naman po I tried my best. I tried my best naman po, and I hope naman po I meet the standards of my participants naman.
So it helps that you have a PowerPoint to help you kasi, di ba, rather than speaking yung just a speech without the visuals and without syempre it helps na we have technology to help us also.
Yes, ma'am. Especially at this time po na pagod na po yung mga tao, I tried my best to make my PowerPoint colorful and interactive. At the same time, my voice na rin po.
Yes.
Dapat meron din pong tone ng voice na masaya, even despite naman.
Maybe yun ang feedback ko sa inyo. Siyempre, it's your first, so medyo, of course, you were conscious about the time, you were conscious about your slides. So I think you will have to learn how to relax also in sharing kasi masyado kayong stiff lahat. Parang you're so formal. So siguro as you go along and get adjusted, you have to try to communicate with your audience. So try to become more personal, yung ganon, parang mas may feeling naman yung pag-share ninyo. Sabi mo nga, you add some life naman into your presentations also. So even when you were sharing your own experience, parang masyado pa rin controlled kayo. But maybe it's because yun nga, it's a formal setting, you don't know the
tsaka mahirap po mag-English.
Ano yan?
Mahirap po mag-English, Doc.
Yeah, sige, medyo cautious rin kayo. Okay, si Dian, okay. Wow, bihis nga si Dian eh. Gusto ko ngang i-compliment kanina eh. Dian, sige, your turn.
Actually, ma'am, tawag dito, super na-rattle talaga ako. Kasi especially when I saw the presentation of Sir Kevin, that some of the data I have, parang how could I change now my PowerPoint? Parang gano'n, yun yung naisip ko kanina. And then, tapos...
No problem naman doon when there are several of you speaking. Even if you have contradictory data, okay lang yun. That's what you prepared and that's what you have. Sige.
Ayun po. And then, parang I would prefer to talk in physical or in person rather than in mas nakakakaba po yung online because you don't know what are the reactions of your audience.
You don't even know if they're listening or not, hindi ba? Kasi wala eh, parang you're speaking to a blank, you're speaking to a screen, so hindi mo rin talaga alam. Unlike in a classroom, yun ang mahirap ngayon, no? Teaching and even speaking. So ito yung experience niyo of speaking. Ang hirap na magbigay rin ng lecture na hindi mo nakikita yung reaction ng audience, hindi ba?
Parang yun, ma'am, mas comfortable akong nagtutok ng person kesa sa online.
Yeah,
mas
comfortable. We have to learn this kasi it's something new talaga. And
then I was also pressured on kasi when I saw the slides kasi yung last slides lang na nakita ko kay Sir Kevin yesterday when we had the pre-prod. Sabi ko, grabe, sobrang ganda nung PowerPoint presentation niya. Talagang napaghandaan. So I was really pressured on that. Kasi I'm not into yung how can I make my presentation yung talagang very attractive siya to the audience. Yeah. So siguro that's the thing that I need to develop, especially if there will be more speaking engagement soon. Sana magkaroon. And I thank for this opportunity kasi I had audience with other schools. At least, ma'am, parang we are now starting our building our connections with other people. Ayun po. And then, yun, ako talaga I was rattled because of the time. Kasi yun po yung tinitingnan ko, oh my God, overtime na ako. So how can I finish my talk na I can really include all the necessary informations, yung mga important informations that I need to. Kasi dito po sa ano ko, yung aking, ano nga bang tawag dito, idiot board, I still have a lot. Kaya kaya nung sinasabi, kasi ano po, sabi kasi ni Ma'am Lovely na she might not able to finish the 30, kumbaga she may not able to maximize the 30 minutes. So sabi ko, siguro I can use kahit 10 minutes lang and then another 10 for the extension. Yun nga po, hindi siya.
Okay lang. So yun nga, napansin ko rin towards the end, binabasa mo na ng mabilis yung mga points mo, hindi ba? Kasi siguro
Yes, ma'am. Kasi I'm already I'm already running out of time. Kumbaga parang it's already overtime. So
but that's good. Kasi we really have to do that. You really have to adjust to the time. So so at a certain point you have to decide on what is really important, what is essential to share. Yung without sacrificing naman your message, but still keeping naman to the time. Also because yun nga, sabi nga ni Lovely, she's thinking about the speakers who will go after her, but kayo naman towards the end, you're also conscious na we cannot go beyond the time that we set kasi we owe it also to our audience kasi hindi naman pwedeng extend because although pwede sa atin, but yung audience natin are really just prepared for a 2.5 or a 3-hour presentation at most.
Actually,
kasi ano ko nga ma'am, sa ating was 6 to 8 yata no?
Opo.
Oo.
Actually yung sa idiot board ko nga ma'am, meron pa nga akong pointers ko doon na I need to make a comparison all this parang halimbawa yung nga bang idea yon? Yung sinabi ni Sir Kevin kanina. Although na-emphasize ko naman po siya sa talk, like for example, yung use ng mga platforms, yung mga ganun.
Yeah, okay, sige. Thank you. So good, very good sharing naman. Let's talk to Ryan, Paul, and Mel. Reactions naman ninyo as support team for this particular time. Si Ryan, sige.
Good evening po.
Good evening.
I have felt po na I have proven talaga there is power in collaboration po, and especially the support system po. So para po mas gumaan yung pressure, the last time po na we are just 3 working out for the webinar we had, but by this time po we are 6 na working and preparing. Although sa part po namin we are the organizers, but we feel na the 3 of our speakers po are very cooperative. And sa part ko naman po, I just felt happy to serve for the sake of the group. That's why po, even though that we have our different roles as speakers and organizers, but still we are willing to work on pa rin po for the sake of our course, for the sake of the group po, ma'am. Although we have experienced some technical problems in spite of our preparations, but I hope that the next time we had our last webinar, we could overcome this problem po.
Okay. Sige. Mel. Sige. I had to butt in na and ask you to give support kasi alam ko nahihirapan na si Paul, no? He was trying his best, but yun nga, choppy na ang dating niya.
Medyo, yan po sa part po niya, Doc Barbie, parang nangangapa po kaming dalawa ni Miss Mel kasi parang Sir Paul's trying to and then babalik po kami and then sumasabay po yung ganun po pala.
Yan, mahirap. So, yun nga, maybe ang suggestion ko, like for example, yung medyo na-delay kayo dun sa beginning, no? Because I think Paul was having difficulty also coming in and all that. So, siguro kahit na nakaset na yung program ninyo, you should be ready to come in. Like Mel, biglang naging MC. Ganun talaga no? At a certain point, you just have to take over. Kaya it's good na meron naman kayong rehearsal, meron naman kayong, meron naman kayong you knew what was coming next. So you all have to be ready. Kahit na hindi mo role talaga yung mag-MC o hindi mo role na mag-opening prayer or something. If worst comes to worst, then you have to be ready to come in, no? And kasi parang ang hirap yung for the audience, yung how do they call that in radio or in TV, yung dead time, dapat wala tayong dead time eh. Yung hindi ba na the audience is waiting, andyan na sila, and I was waiting for somebody to say we will start in 5 minutes or yung parang ganon, please hold on, we're here, but we'll start in a while. Yung ganun lang. Para lang may connection kayo sa audience. To let the audience know that you're there. We're trying to arrange whatever glitches that we're experiencing. But we will start. No? We will go on with the program. So yun lang siguro. So sige, Mel, you wanted to share your own feelings and experience there?
So, I know we have a plan for the program flow. Yan siguro ito natuto talaga ako to be more flexible. Hindi ko yung naisip na during that the initial part, yung hindi pa na-in si Sir Paul, supposedly yung plan sana, di ba, na sana naging interactive at nagawan sana ng paraan. Yun yung bagay na hindi ko din naisip at hindi ko na-communicate kay Sir Ryan. And yun, that's something that I've learned also, especially with this kind of platform, having a webinar, na in situation that there are technical difficulties, especially in situation na yung MC pa yung nagkaroon ng ganung problema, dapat pala all the members, all the working committee should have the copy, the program flow, and to facilitate.
Kasi pwede naman gano'n na you get started, tapos pag pumasok na si Paul, edi gawin ninyong dialogue, kunyari, eto na yung co-MC, something like that. So, or yung parang kailangan ganong ka-flexible para lang hindi masyadong, nagkakaroon ng dead time. Okay, but anyway, I think you were able naman to let the program go on as you planned. But yun nga, we never know. Just like, hindi ba, yung previous experience, we never know what's going to happen. Will it be technical? Will it be a person? Mali ang introduction? Yung mga ganon. Or ganon nga, yung suppose yung one of the resource speakers doesn't come. What do you do? Hindi ba? All of a sudden at the last minute, hindi nakarating yung isang resource person. What will you do? Will you extend the open forum? Will you, hindi ba yung ganon? Or you'll tell the speakers na you'll have a little more time? Or do you just say, we'll cut the program at this point kasi tapos na namin? So, yung mga ganyang quick decisions, you'll have to all come in. Yun naman ang benefit of working as a team. Di ba? At least meron kayong 2 other persons na who are among the organizers, because if you're all alone there, medyo mahirap rin, no? Or if you're the only resource person, medyo, yun nga, biglang you expected a panel, but now you're kulang ng isang tao, so you have to make adjustments. Okay, let's listen to Paul.
Hi, Doc. Good evening po. Hi, classmates. Doc, actually po, late po talaga akong pumasok kasi galing po ako ng buhol nung isang parent ko na nag-suicide. So, opo, yesterday. So, kanina po, 3 p.m. from school.
Yung parent ang,
Opo, nag-suicide po. Parent ng bata ko. Mother po. Kaya sabi ko pang yesterday, parang I was so shocked. Supposedly dapat nasa Antipolo pa ako. Ayun, bigla po ako napauwi ng Bacoor dahil doon. Then kanina po, inasikaso ko yung collection na parang abuloy ng school sa kanang teachers at sa parents. So galing po ako doon. Then sabi ko 5:30 may makasama kong parents na pumunta din. Wala kami masakyan. So what I did, tinakbo ko na lang pabalik ng school. Nasa school pa po ako ngayon. Wait lang.
Yeah.
So ayun po.
Yeah,
So,
okay
kaya
lang.
medyo late po talaga akong pumasok. Kaya sabi ko, oh my God, nag-start na sila. Then unexpectedly, I don't know what happened. Okay naman po yung signal. Then nung matatapos na si Sir Dian, nagka-crash na siya almost 5 or 6 times siyang nagka-crash. Sabi ko, and I'm very thankful kasi before that naman po sa group chat, sinabihan ko na si Ma'am Love, si Ma'am Mel na if ever mag-crash ako, pakisalo na lang. So medyo nagkakagulo lang kasi minsan pumapasok ako bigla.
Yeah.
Then, but the good thing is talagang nakikita namin na everyone is cooperating po. Even the speakers po, sinasabi nila na ganito na yung gagawin. And we're very thankful po kasi, you know, from yesterday up to date, nakikita, and from the very first day we planned about this, nakikita namin po yung coordination and understanding, including the help to each other po. So, yun lang po. And this is a good thing po na to see na as a group, we're working now not only as a group, but as a class talaga. And that's good po. So, it's a good practice po to everyone po.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we got through this, and congratulations to all of you again. Good job. And I really admire all of you for putting a lot of effort into this project of ours. Ano, talagang preparing for it in all aspects. So I think it's a good learning experience for you. And of course, even for me too, kasi I've seen how making use of this type of teaching and learning, no, na actually parang practicum ninyo ito eh. So it's really a way of learning which is not purely academic, but I think we learned a lot from your experience. So,
kanina nga ma'am nung natapos.
Oo.
Ano yan? Nung natapos ako, akala ko narinig.
Ano parang ano?
Ano ma'am? Nung natapos ako, akala ko hindi na ako narinig kasi ang tagal.
Oo nga eh. Walang nagre-react.
Sabi ko, ay parang hindi na ako narinig. Ay sige, okay lang.
Oo. So, anyway, take kayo. So next week, hindi tayo mag-meet. In the first place, it's a holiday. And preparation naman ninyo. And so ang next meeting natin is for the webinar natin, which will be, kailan na ngayon? 20, May 20th, no? May 20. So ang presenters naman ay yung sina Mel, Paul, and Ryan. And ang organizers naman will be Lovely, Kevin, and Dian. So I hope it will be as good, if not better, than this one. And sige. So as usual, I think alam na naman natin ang flow, how we're going to do it. That will be our last meeting also. And by the way, reminding yung mga resource persons ngayon to submit their PowerPoint. I-submit niyo sa Canvas. So I'll have a copy also. Okay. I think mag-picture muna tayo. You should take a picture na nakabarong pa naman si Dian. Kevin, turn on your... Ayan. Si Paul, lumilipad pa yung buhok.
Kanina nga po, tinanggal ko na yung tali ko kasi sabi ayun.
Sige.
Kailangan mapagupit sa main content.
Okay. Kevin, who's taking the picture?
Sir Gerald.
Ian? Sige, please take a picture.
Sige pa, 1, 2.
Okay, thank you. Uy, andito pa pala si Sir Gerald. Thank you very much for your support.
Naman.
Okay, sige, see you next Thursday after next. Okay? Recording pa ba ito? Dapat i-off na pala.